Welcome to Synchronicity Stories, real signs, real magic. I'm Vikash, and this is a show about the divine signs, signals, and synchronicities that life brings to us. I'm talking about the ways that life communicates and guides us, and what happens when we're brave enough to follow them. So, what is synchronicity? The term was actually coined by psychologist Carl Jung. He described it as meaningful coincidences, events that are connected in a meaningful way, but can't be explained by cause and effect. And for me, I like to say that synchronicities are the funny coincidences that life brings us. They are the breadcrumbs to our manifestations, guiding us to our highest and best possibilities, if we have the ability to read and see them. And I believe that by sharing these stories, it's going to activate in others the ability to see and read the ways that life is communicating with them. And the more people that live in synchronicity, the more connected we become and the closer we get to living heaven on earth. Today, I want to share one of the most powerful synchronicity stories I've ever witnessed. And it didn't actually happen to me. It happened to my mom, but it changed my life forever. But first, let me give you a little backstory about me. When I was 22 years old, after a night of partying, I had an accident where I fell off of a third floor apartment balcony and fractured my spine and became a paraplegic. I know it's a crazy story. I was only 22 years old at the time. It was a really, really tough experience, but for the first 4 years, I was completely resisting. I couldn't deal with it. I was trying to find any way out of the situation. Every treatment I could find, every alternative therapy, everything, and nothing worked. So it was in 2010 that I finally made a decision to accept my life and move forward. And I moved back to Houston, the city where my accident actually happened. And that's when the synchronicity started for me. I wanted to play wheelchair basketball, and the first week I moved back to Houston, I was driving down the highway and I saw a billboard that said Abilities Expo. And on that billboard, people were playing wheelchair basketball on it. The Abilities Expo was this giant expo that had everything to do with disability, from wheelchairs to medical supplies to blind and deaf equipment and wheelchair sports. And it was happening for the first time ever in Houston the weekend after I moved there. That was not a coincidence. I went to that expo. I connected with people in the disability community who showed me what was possible. People living independently, living fully. It just opened up a whole world for me and led me to what I wanted to do, playing wheelchair basketball. A few months later, I kept thinking about how convenient it would be to work right where I lived. Just thought about it. I wasn't really trying anything. And then about a week later, I got an email. The apartments where I was living were looking for tour guides. I already knew the director. I reached out to her and I got an interview, and then I got the job right where I lived. Exactly what I'd been thinking about. And when people would see me about to give them a tour, they'd look at me like, wait, you're the one that's going to give us a tour? And I was like, yep, you better keep up because I'm hell on wheels, baby. I would tell my mom these things that kept happening, these moments that were too perfectly timed to be coincidence. And she said, those are synchronicities. She was really into the spiritual teacher named Wayne Dyer. And Wayne Dyer talked about synchronicities. That's how I learned the term. And she said, you're experiencing synchronicities. Life is actually talking back to you. I had no idea how right she was at the time or what was about to happen. In September 2011, 5 years after my accident, there was a Hay House conference happening in New York City, and over 2,000 people were going to be there. And Wayne Dyer was speaking at this event. So my mom really wanted to go, so we went, me, my mom, and two of her sisters. On the plane in New York, my mom started saying something over and over again. I'm going to meet Wayne Dyer. I'm going to meet Wayne Dyer. I'm going to meet Wayne Dyer. And her sister jumped right in. One of them said, what are you going to wear when you meet Wayne Dyer? And the other one was like, oh, he's going to call you up on stage. And I was like, you women are really crazy. There are going to be 2,000 people at this event. The chances of my mom meeting Wayne Dyer are basically zero, you know? I didn't believe in manifestation like that yet, but that was about to change. The next morning, we got to the event and found our seats. My mom got up to use the bathroom, and when she came back out, Wayne Dyer was standing right there. Just standing there in the hallway outside the bathroom. My mom was shocked for a second and then head towards him. She was already crying. She told him, "Your work has meant so much to me. It's helped me through so much. My son had this accident. He's here with me today. And we've been looking for answers, and your work has given me so much hope." And Wayne Dyer hugged her, wiped her tears, and he asked her, "Oh, your son is here? Where are you sitting?" And then he said, "I have to get to the stage now, but I'll see you in there." So my mom came back to our seats completely frantic, barely able to speak. "I just met Wayne Dyer. I just met Wayne Dyer." And we were all in shock because she said she was going to meet him on the plane over and over again. And she actually did. But that's not even the most wild part. Wayne Dyer walked out on that stage in front of 2,000 people. And the first thing he did before anything else was tell my mom's story. He said, "So I just met this lady, and her son had this accident that left him in a wheelchair." And he told her whole story. And then he called my mom up on stage, exactly what her sister had predicted on the plane. He gave her a purse that his daughter was selling, and he honored her in front of everyone. And then he looked out into the audience and said, "Her son is here." And he called me out, and I raised my hand. And he told me that he really wanted me to pay attention to everything that he had to say today. And his entire talk was about mastering the art of manifestation. This was a crazy moment, y'all. I had to sit with this moment for a while. I mean, my mom said she was gonna meet Wayne Dyer on the plane. Before we even landed in New York, her sister said he would call her up on stage. She walked out of a bathroom and he was standing right there. And then he told her story to 2,000 people and then called her on stage, exactly as predicted. And his entire talk was about manifestation, the very thing my mom had just demonstrated on the plane on the plane right over. That was not a coincidence. That was synchronicity. And here's what that day gave me. Up until that point, I had been curious about manifestation, dabbling in it, but not fully sold. After that day, though, I believed. Not because someone told me to, not because I read it in a book, because I watched my mom speak something into existence in real time on the plane before it happened. And that belief that life responds to us, that our intentions create real outcomes, that synchronicities are the universe confirming we're on the right path, that belief has guided everything I've done since that day, including the show. But something else happened that day that I need to tell you about. In that talk, Wayne Dyer mentioned someone, a woman whose story stopped me completely cold. A woman who had healed from terminal cancer after a near death experience, miraculously, inexplicably. And what happened next, how we found her, what she said to us, why it felt like the universe had been planning this all along, that's episode 2. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss it. And if you have your own synchronicity story, drop it in the comments. I would love to hear it. And if you're feeling called to go deeper, I'm Vikash Dasani, a transformational guide and the founder of Soul Land Magic. I work with people one-on-one through private coaching, and I have a transformational retreat coming up in Sedona, Arizona, October 8th through 11th. 4 days in one of the most spiritually charged places on earth. If any of that is calling you, link is in the description below. This is Synchronicity Stories, real, real signs, real magic. I'll see you next time.